What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, guys, I'm going to be talking about Manchester United's last game that we went and played, Aston Villa, away from home, guys. So let's just get straight into today's video, guys. It was an unchanged team from the last game against Bournemouth. Talk about the starting 11. So we started with De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, Pogba, Matic, Greenwood, Fernandes, Rashford and Martial. Get into the overall reaction now. Ruthless Man United win to deepen Villa relegation worries. Mason Greenwood is on fire. He is absolutely on fire. Great game, not the greatest performance, but a win is a win. I will take that any day of the week. Too easy, still unbeaten. Win done, 3 points done, and clean sheet done. Just before I start today's video, guys, I just want to say that this video will not be fully edited because, United have pretty much got a game in the next 3 days, so I won't have enough time to edit this video, so apologies for that, guys. Anyway, guys, let's get straight into today's video. What did I make of the performance? Fantastic performance by the players. We were absolutely fantastic from start to finish, but there was some parts in the game, at the end of the day, let's start from the beginning. I think, the first 15 minutes of the game, we looked a bit sketchy, a bit rusty, not inspiring. We were very, we just sort of let Aston Villa start really quick and bright, and we let them on the front foot, and we let them create chances the first 15 minutes. And you know what, I'm going to recall going back to Bournemouth as well. This is the second game now Manchester United have not started quick and bright, and we've not got on the front foot, and that's happened twice now. But we're lucky enough, well, not lucky, but it was a well-deserved win against Aston Villa. But you know what, it was a good win against Aston Villa. But second game in a row where we've been put on the back foot, and we've ended up doing defending. And then once we get to that drinks break, things get changed with instructions and tactics. So you know what, the first 15 minutes of that first half, I thought it was not great. I was watching this game thinking, oh Jesus, this is not a great start again, and like I was going on about in my last video, this is a team that is battling for a relegation scrap right now, in the relegation zone as well, battling to stay up for the Premier League, and they're in a bit of a scrap right now. But once again, not the best 15 minutes to the game. But I think once we grew into the game, we looked more comfortable on the ball. We got on the front foot. We started to create some fantastic chances. A few chances where we should have put. A few chances what we should have put away. With Bruno with the header, and a few other opportunities with Wan-Bissaka in the second half as well. Rashford should have got a penalty. Tyrone Mings actually did a handball as well in that first half, so I thought that should have been a penalty. So you know what, Bruno should have made it 2, and then Wan-Bissaka should have made it 3, and then Pogba scoring 4. This game should have been probably dead and buried pretty much early on in the second half, or it could have been dead and buried in the first half, once again. But you know what, let's look at the overall performance. It was a fantastic performance by the boys, another great performance. A win is a win at the end of the day, and it's another 3 points on the board. It's another clean sheet. I think United are now the first team to score about 3 to 4 goals in 4 consecutive games or something like that. First team ever that have the first team ever that have done that. So great achievement from the players and the team as well. And that just goes to show of how much we've improved as well the last 7 months. And but getting into the game, like I said, the first 15 minutes, I am repeating myself, it was a bit of a sketchy, rusty and not inspiring 15 minutes at the half. But we sort of, we got to the drinks break. Ollie got some instructions out there, changed his tactics, and Martial was fantastic. He pressed the centre-backs really well. He won the ball back fantastically as well. He helped us out in a few of the goals as well. So I thought Martial played well. So there were some fantastic performances in there. The likes of Bruno, Pogba, Rashford, still not sharp, but he's still getting there. Still trying to build up his match fitness after coming back from a long-term injury. So you know what? First half, first 15 minutes wasn't great, but once we got our ground running, we found our feet and we got on the front foot. We created chances, chances that we should have taken and chances that we should have scored on. But at the end of the day, you know, getting into the first goal now, I think I've got to talk about that first goal. I'll get into it in a bit as well, actually, if it was a penalty. But first goal, people are complaining as United fans, oh, I'm a United fan, oh, it wasn't a penalty and stuff like that. I mean, at the end of the day, it went to VAR. VAR said yes. The referee said yes. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. I'd fucking take it. But all these other United fans are saying, oh, it's not a penalty. Oh, it's not a penalty. Get on with it. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. I'll take it. You need goals. You need to win a game. And you need to get the points as well. Why is United fans moaning? I'm not moaning. So get on with it. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. If it's not a penalty, it's not a penalty. Get on with it, you know. So, yeah, the first goal was a bit of VAR controversy, but I'll get into that in a bit as well. And yeah, and then obviously we played with energy. We played with energy. We had width. We had pace in the team. The transition was good in times in the first half, but I thought that the transition was a lot more better in the second half, because we were much better in the second half. I thought first half we were just we were just sort of getting into the game a little bit after that 15-minute spell, and then we got our ground running. We, like I said just then as well, we play with width, we play with pace, and it was fantastic. We made some great runs from behind. We got down the channels, and we made some fantastic runs. We made some fantastic runs down on the flanks. Crosses can be a little bit worked on as well for the next game. So there's a lot of positives to take that from as well, and a few negatives as well. So a bit like the Bournemouth game as well. Second half, I thought we came out into that half and we were the much better side. I thought we controlled, dominated the game. We got on the front foot, created chances. We had bodies up front. We committed men forward. We put them under pressure. Which caused them mistakes. And there was goals that we scored that had sort of come off the training ground, and Villa defensively were just sloppy, a bit lazy, and that's just down to that third goal that we scored, that Pogba scored, that was off the training ground. And that's simple stuff that Villa should be going back to. And again, Villa are not going back to the basics. So I thought second half was a much better performance. It was a better performance than the first half. We were bright, we were sharp, the movement was fantastic, we committed men forward, we played with width, we played with pace. I thought we were 10 times better in that second half, and we just couldn't show that in the first half. But the best bit of play that we did in the first half was that cross that Shaw put in. Bruno headed it over the bar, and that should have been 2-0, and that was probably the best play that we did in the first half. But again, like I said, a few positives that we've got to take away from that game. Well, a lot of positives, but again, we've got a few negatives that we need to go and work on in training ahead of the next game against Southampton. So you know what? Second half performance was 10 times better than the first half. I thought we were a lot more better in possession, and I thought on and off the ball we were brilliant in the second half. The first half we were not that great. We sort of had to defend the first 15 minutes, and we just couldn't get going, and we let them sort of dictate the pace and dictate the possession in the first 15 minutes. But once we had that drinks break in the first half, we played some brilliant stuff in the end. But again, it's just we didn't have that quick and bright start to the game, and we've got to have that in the Southampton game, so we've got to change that. But overall performance was great, overall fantastic, but we've got some positives and negatives to take away from that game, and let's look forward to the next game against Southampton. We get routine victories as well, which are things we haven't got in a long time, like when you haven't played well, but Villa started off okay. Once we got the goal, there's nowhere back into it for them, and they've really struggled, and it's like obviously when they're going to go down, but you just think these are games we've been struggling at in previous times. How much credit does Ole Gunnar Solskjaer deserve? You know what, I've already said how much credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer deserves. He deserves a lot of credit, but at the end of the day, I was saying in my last video once again, I said about a year ago, we were inconsistent, we were up and down, we were getting wins, we were getting draws, we were getting losses. We didn't have our greatest team back then. We didn't have the likes of Bruno, Igalo and all them in the team. But what it is now, because we know we're in a top 4 position, well, because we know we're playing some fantastic stuff and we're the top team in the best form, number 1 in the top form right now. What it is the reason why we were so inconsistent about a year ago compared to now, I think what it is we didn't have the team that we had. We didn't really have the team that we got in the summer. What it was is we didn't really get the team that we should have had in the summer. So we didn't get all the transfers that we should have had in the summer. So really, if we would have had Bruno and Igalo or any other striker, we would have been playing a lot more better back then. But we obviously didn't, which we know. But because we were so inconsistent, we were up and down, we were all over the place, and it was our worst start in 30 years. But what it is now we've beaten the teams like your Aston Villas, your Bournemouths, your Brightons, your Southamptons, who we've got next. So we we know that we're making improvement with lesser teams. I said this in my video just before the games are kicked. I said this in my video before the games are kicked off, and I said, I don't want us to be going back to that inconsistent run. But whereas now we've got the team that we got now with Bruno, Igalo, and what it was as well, we had injuries as well, the likes of Rashford, Pogba. We had long-term injuries as well. And I think if we wouldn't have had those long-term injuries, back in January, we would have been a lot more better. But at the end of the day, about a year ago, we still had a fit Marcus Rashford, and we didn't really have a fit Pogba as well. So it was like the likes of Matic, Fred, McTominay were going to get more game time at the end of the day. So it was really a bit of a mixture. So we couldn't really. We didn't have that one good game where, we stayed the on top team. So we were up, down. We were just all over the place about a year ago. But now that Ollie's got his team that he's got now, he's gone forward, he's improved this team now. And what Ollie's also done is he got rid of the shitty players in the summer that he didn't want to deal with. He's gotten better players in. He's got the likes of Maguire, Pogba, Bruno, Rashford, Greenwood, Martial. He's got all those fantastic players in fantastic form. Who's going to stop them? No one. So it's just showing, how much improvement we've made now the last 7 months. And we've just got to keep that on. And, we just got to treat every other game another game and go on, push on. And it's just all about, the aim in the game, in every single game for us, we have to get 3 points. So at the end of the day, with that inconsistency from a year ago, and we were not, at the end of the day, we weren't a team a year ago on top. We were like up, down, up, down, up, down. But now that we're up here at another level, it just shows how much improvement we've made the last 7 months. So, it's just fantastic, isn't it? And it's amazing how much time Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needed to get back United up here. Was it a penalty on Bruno Fernandes? Now, this was the bit now what people couldn't make a agreement on, whether if that was a penalty on Bruno Fernandes. Now, I'm going to have my take on this. Now, people have got other opinions. Fair dues. I'll respect those opinions, those decisions, whatever you want to call it. But you know what? It was 100% a penalty for me. You know why? Because what it is Bruno Fernandes had his back turned on the centre-back. So really, at the end of the day, did the centre-back get the ball? No. He didn't get the ball, no. At the end of the day, Bruno, was there contact as well? Yes, there was contact. The centre-back didn't get the ball. There was contact on Bruno. Is the VAR in play? Yes, there is. Right, so if you've got those 3 things, and you've got a referee on the pitch as well, obviously, so the referee is seeing it at a different angle, and he's pointed the spot. He's seen something different. They've got VAR involved. VAR, allowed it. and said, Jonathan, you give that penalty. It's a clear and obvious penalty. Give it. It's a penalty. So you've got all these so-called United fans saying, I'm a United fan, it's not a penalty. Get on with it. You know what? Because at the end of the day, you won't get many of those type of at the end of the day, you won't get many of those ways where, VAR doesn't do its job. So at the end of the day, if you're complaining that a penalty didn't get given, if you're complaining that was given and it shouldn't have been a penalty, get on with it. A penalty is a penalty. Why is people moaning as United fans saying it's not a penalty? Get on with it. You need to win the game. You need to get the 3 points, and you need to close the gap on Chelsea and Leicester. Why are these United fans complaining if it wasn't a penalty? I don't get it. So if it's a penalty, it's a penalty. If it's not, we'll get on with it and we'll get on with life. It's not a penalty. So at the end of the day, VAR came out and said, we made a mistake, but, not many of those, and, they've made a lot of mistakes, at the end of the day, VAR. And that just goes to show they need to look at different angles, and they didn't really look at the different angles. And a penalty is a penalty. I'd take it, and I wasn't moaning, but I know 100% that was a penalty. Now I'm getting called deluded on Instagram because I said it was a penalty. So at the end of the day, this is down to the fan base on this one as well, because they need to take a long, hard look of themselves as well on that penalty as well. Who was my man of the match? Oh God, I have to give it to Mason Greenwood. He was fantastic. Not only just him though, Martial was fantastic. I thought Pogba was fantastic. Bruno had another good game as well. Some good players in contention. I think for me it has to be Greenwood because the kid's unstoppable recently. I'd also give it Martial, Pogba as well, and Bruno in there. So it's really tough when you've got so many players in form. We're just hitting it off recently right now. How do we beat Southampton? So now that we've got Southampton in our next fixture, you know what? Southampton, I'll tell you what now. This is a game that you don't want to... I'll tell you what. Southampton are a very good team. Got a lot of quality. They've got some fantastic players in there. And you think, right, this is Southampton. They're about the 12th in the table. They're not doing that great. They're a mid-table team. You know what? You don't want to write these off because they can do anything. They've beaten some big teams, the likes of Tottenham, Leicester, City. You don't want to write these off. And anything could happen in this game. But I think at the end of the day, Southampton sort of started off really slowly in the league. They were in a bit of a relegation scrap. They sort of upped the games a little bit. They started to get wins. Went back to the normal Southampton, then that embarrassing loss came to them, that 9-0 against Leicester City back in October, and then they really hit rock bottom. They couldn't really get the form back going after getting embarrassed and humiliated by Leicester, but then they've really racked up the results. They've beaten some fantastic teams. They've beaten the likes of Tottenham, Leicester, Man City, and then they sort of started to beat a few lesser teams as well. So, you know what, since then I'd say Southampton have played some fantastic football. They know that, at the end of the day, they're a team that you don't want to write off because they'll give you a good fight, a good game, a good test. And this time around, with no fans in the stadium, they're not going to get the game that they wanted with the fans being in the stadium, and that's down to how teams are really settling it. That's down to how the teams are settling in, and that's down to how are they dealing without the fans in the stadium. But they're coming up against the team that's in the best form right now, and at the end of the day, I think this is all down to United of how we start. We cannot have another game where we start on the back foot. We've got to start bright and quick in this game, and we've got to get on the front foot, create chances. We've got to play with high intensity, high tempo. We've got to play with pace, with width. We've got the transition from attack to defence. The transition from defence to attack needs to be spot on. The movement, and we need to be sharp on the ball. We've got to show the work ethic, and we've got to show that work rate against them. But this game is all about passion, pride, fight. You've got to give it absolutely everything, and you've got to make sure you absolutely give a game to Southampton, because they're going to come up north thinking this is 3 points. This is a game that I was reading about that we had to win. We've got to win this game. Simple as, we have got to win this game. Do not draw to this Southampton team. If you ask me, the mid-table team, the last couple of fixtures they've not done too well in. A draw against Everton, a win against Man City, and I think it was like a loss or something like that. A bit of a mixture, Southampton. But you don't want to write them off. If they turn up, they'll have a good game and they'll win. But you've got to make sure that you've got to start quick, and we've got to have that important win. Well, not only just the important win, but we've got to have that important start to the game. We've got to have to start bright and quick in that game. And if we don't, it's going to be a long, long game. And we've got to push on. We've got to keep the pressure onto them and push the fullbacks as well, because they started playing like a bit like us. They pushed the fullbacks up as well as wingers. So really, you've got to push those fullbacks back, and you've got to really put them under pressure. And we've got to make some runs in behind, get some runs down in the right channels, get them on the flanks, push them right back, and then we've got to be clinical. You've got to score your chances, and let's put them to bed. And this is another game for us. We've just got to prepare well for this game and put them to bed, and that'll be another 3 points on the board. First goal, Bruno wins a penalty. Bruno steps up and scores a nice and composed penalty for 2-1. Second goal, Matic clears the ball. Great hold-up play by Martial. Martial passed it to Bruno. Bruno passed it to Greenwood. Greenwood runs, looks at Martial and passed it to Martial. Martial passed the ball to Greenwood, and Greenwood scores a cracking goal for 2-0. Third goal, Bruno puts in the low and hard corner in. Pogba controls it and scores a fantastic goal outside the penalty area for 3-0. Straight off the training ground. Getting into the stats now, possession for Aston Villa it was 33.4%, and for Man United it was 66.6%. Goals for Villa it was 0, and for Man United it was 3. Total shots for Villa it was 9, and for Man United it was 14. Total shots for Villa it was 1, and for Man United it was 6. Shot accuracy for Aston Villa it was 11.1%, and for Man United it was 42.9%. Shots inside the box for Aston Villa it was 4, and for Man United it was 10. Shots outside the box for Aston Villa it was 5, and for Man United it was 4. Total passes for Aston Villa it was 310, and for Man United it was 637 passes. The pass accuracy for Aston Villa it was 76.1%, and for Man United it was bang on 89%. Getting into the substitutions now, Matic went off for McTominay. Talk about Matic's performance, caught out early on and not at the level of most of his performances pre and post lockdown. A rest is inevitable next week. Wan-Bissaka went off for Williams. Talk about Wan-Bissaka's performance, did not hit his attack in stride as he had done recently, and switched off for an early Jack Grealish chance. Missed a sitter, should have scored it as well. Fernandes went off for Fred. Talk about Bruno's performance. Unfortunate to win the penalty, but typically cool with his conversion and set United on their way to another win. Martial went off for Igalo. Talk about Martial's performance. Does nothing for long periods and then does something. Did fabulously for the second goal by sparking the counter-attack. Hit the bar. Greenwood went off for James. Talk about Greenwood's performance. Tested Pepe Reina before he beat him with another exceptional goal. Becoming the most academic success story since the class of 92. So vital he came off ahead of Marcus Rashford. Next up we've got Southampton. Southampton are 12th in the table. Another game for us. We just got to prepare well for this game. Not only just mentally but physically as well. I think we're just going to give them a good game. You know, we've got to have that quick and bright start to the game, unless it's going to be a long game for us, and we've got to make sure we have that quick and bright start. It's going to be so vital to have it. This is a team that you don't want to write off. They can be good on the day. We just got to push them back, get them on the front foot at the end of the day. Southampton have scored 43 goals so far this season. Southampton have conceded 56 goals so far this season. Southampton are scoring 1.3 goals per game, and Southampton are conceding 1.6 goals per game. Southampton have the 5th worst defence in the league. So far in 2020, Southampton have won 6 games, and that was against Tottenham, Leicester, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, Watford and Man City. Southampton have won 13, drawn 5 and lost 16. They've lost to Burnley 3-0, Liverpool 2-1, Bournemouth 3-1, Tottenham 2-1, Chelsea 4-1, Leicester 9-0, Man City 2-1, Everton 2-1, Newcastle 2-1, West Ham 1-0, Wolves 3-2, Liverpool 4-0, Burnley 2-1, West Ham 3-1, Newcastle 1-0 and Arsenal 2-0. 8 of those fixtures are away from home. The last time Man United won against Southampton was on Saturday the 2nd of March 2019, and it ended 3-2 to the Reds. That was a cracking game. The last time Man United lost against Southampton was on Saturday the 23rd of January 2016 and it ended 1-0 to Southampton. The players to look out for: Vestergaard, Stevens, Bertrand, Walker-Peters, Danso, Valerie, Romeu, Ward-Prowse, Armstrong, Brufel, Redmond, Hoiberg, Long, Ings, Adams and Obafemi. Hope you guys have enjoyed another video. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel if you are new guys, and I'll see you in the next video in the next couple of days, and peace.